Hello, everyone, and welcome to Drealeapers Inspiration. I'm your host, Harriet Cole. So honored, as always, to be with you as we begin this week, connected to spirit, connected to all the greatness that lives within us. That when we make that connection, when we make that conscious connection, it helps us to live with intention throughout the day, throughout the moment, throughout our lives. I find it so helpful to come back to center, to make the conscious choice to pay attention to the state that I'm in, to my world, to how I am existing in space, what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, what I'm doing, what I'm planning to do. Sometimes that can feel overwhelming when there's a whole lot going on, but I find that it's much better to be aware of the state we're in and just where do I fit right now in my life? Where do I fit right now in this world? Do I have awareness of it? How do I feel about it? I think sometimes we're so busy that we are on that wheel of just trying to make things happen and not necessarily having perspective. So I wanted to address something that I've noticed, especially right through here. We are it's this is the end of the year, so just generally, this is a time when people tend to be reflective. How are things going? How have I been living? What's been working? What's not working? Where am I headed as I transition from now into the new year? There's a lot of emotion that comes up for people, a lot of self-assessment. And in this particular year, I've listened to people across industries have expressed a bit of contraction, that there's a lot going on, but while abundance is always there, people haven't always felt it. That, in the ebb and flow of life, that there's been more of an ebb for a number of people. And sometimes when that happens, people want to live outside of their lives. Well, what if I go over there? What if I do this? What if I um, what if I just escape? Right? Sometimes that is a thought when times are tough. What if I escape this life that I'm in and put myself in something else? And this may be true for you, may be true for friends of yours, may be true for you in different moments. But this is too hard. This isn't what I want. I want something different. It's got to be better over there. And I remember my mother saying to us, you if you go somewhere else from your life, you're going to end up with the same problems, with different clothes on and with the different. Uh, it may look different, but you bring with you whatever your issues are. So what happens if you face your life? What happens if you don't run away from whatever is going on in your life and you face it? You look at it, you engage it, you decide to live your life. What happens if you really do that? And I challenge you, do you think you are living your life right now? Are you someone who says, when I get there, I'm going to be okay? My goal is this. When I get there, everything's going to be fine. I want this. When I get to whatever that is, life will change. So there's one thing to have goals and another thing to place your focus on something that is not part of your life and to tell yourself, well, until I get there, I'm not living my life. That I think is dangerous because it means that whatever is your life, you're not nurturing, you're not paying attention to it. If you think about plants, living things, my husband is very good at gardening. His family, they're from Jamaica. They grew up in a home in Jamaica where, not on a small plot of land, his mother grew everything. And now she lives in Florida and she's grown every vegetable and, I mean, you know, food, food uh, for her family to enjoy and to feed them. And it's fascinating when you think about it that you can literally grow something that can sustain you if you pay attention to it and nurture it. That's what happens when people grow food and plants. So if you think of that image, it takes a lot of time and effort and discipline and focus in order to make plants live and thrive. Well, what does it take for your life to fully live and thrive? What kind of attention do you need to pay to yourself and all of the things that make up your life in order to thrive, in order to survive and thrive? What happens when you don't water the plant? So I'm going to tell you, I'm good at a lot of things. I'm not good at gardening, but mainly because I've never paid attention to it. But there have been times over the years when George will say, "Well, you're in charge of that plant." And because it's not my focus, sadly, I can tell you a lot of plants have died on my watch because it's not in my brain, water that plant. That's not part of my DNA to be a gardener. And I I thought about it recently because I love the imagery of it, of nurturing a plant and what it can yield. And yet for me, it hasn't been something that I've been particularly good at. Right now, there's a plant that we got from my mother's funeral, which was in May. Yeah. And it's still living because I've been watering it, but it's my mother's plant. So my attention to it is different than perhaps to other things. And that's the point. What in your life do you care to nurture? What in your life do you want to live? How do you make sure that it can live and will live? You have to engage it. You have to focus on it. You have to make it a priority. Now, many of you know I've talked about this again and again and always will. Make a list. I love lists because they help you to have energy. You make a list, these are the things that I need to do. You write them down. Here's my list. These are the things I have to do, and as you do them, you check them off. And it gives you energy and makes you feel like I'm accomplishing something, and then you go to the next thing. What do you put on your list? What are the things that are important to your life that you put on your list? It used to be that I only put work stuff on my list. And I've always been a so-called workaholic. I've always had I mean, even when I was a kid in school, there was always a long list of things that were academic related. And then as I began to work, there's a very long list of things that are work related. Some years ago, I realized, big aha moment, that's not my whole life. What about how I take care of myself? And do I take care of myself well enough? What about how I tend to my family and my loved ones and my space? And if I'm honest, sometimes I'm good at those things, sometimes I'm not. And I want to challenge you. Do you think if you make your list of all the things that are priorities, all the things that make up your life, are you engaging those things, those people, those activities, your own being? What do you engage on a daily basis? What do you not pay attention to? I've been on I am on a crazy deadline right now that exists in the space of many other deadlines. And I am blessed to work with a small and mighty team of people who We are working together to get stuff done, and it's a lot. And so for me, in the midst of a lot, I sit in front of this computer, going, 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 and sometimes forget to stand up. Sometimes forget to do some of the things that I know are important self-care because it's collapsing reality to just get stuff done. So the other day, this is me telling on myself. The other day, I woke up and just things were hurting in my body. And I realized, well, you really haven't been moving, girl. You've been sitting. When you sit too long, I've learned that I stop with my fingers because years ago when I wrote my first book, I got carpal tunnel because I type really fast and I was typing so fast nonstop that my hands and wrists started hurting. So I've learned the exercises to do to prevent that. But I wasn't paying attention to how much I was sitting and things started hurting. Get up, move. I have a good friend, my neighbor Yvonne, who goes to the gym every single day. And she invites me to go with her, and I've gone a few times. But one of the things that collapses for me when I'm busy is taking care of my physical self. What about you? What of your self-care falls to the wayside when you are stressed, when you're challenged, when you feel like the list is too long? I'm gonna guess that there are things because I know that I'm not alone. And so today's message, live your life, engage in it fully. What does that mean for you? What are you not doing that you need to do? What are you doing that may not be in alignment with who you believe you are and how you want to live your life? And for most of us, there are things that we can do better. There are ways that we choose to escape the life that we're in. I said it, to escape, that we step away from, we don't pay attention to, we don't water, we don't nurture, we ignore, we mask. What are those things? I've talked to a couple of psychologists recently who have shared that addiction is up, depression is up, anxiety is up, just general sadness is up, extreme emotion. Because so many people are experiencing these things, there's a very good chance that people who are connected right now on this broadcast are experiencing this too. It's just real. Look, Kimberly says, I forget to take care of Kimberly. I'm trying to do better. Exactly. Oh, Kimberly also says it's 18 degrees right now in Detroit. I haven't gone outside yet in New York City, but I'm going to guess it's not that cold. But my daughter lives in a place that is very cold. How do you take care of yourself? This is all about taking care of yourself. So for her, like I would never choose to live in a place as cold as that. But she has the right gear. So if you put the right gear on when you go outside, then you're taking care of yourself. So if you think of that image, how do you take care of yourself in the moment where you find yourself? How do you do that? I remember years ago, I was not in a good place. I was in an emotionally fragile place, and I was talking to a friend who was also in an emotionally fragile place, and we were commiserating. And he said to me, live your life. It's time now for you to just focus and live your life. I was in my 20s and I was spiritually lost. And this friend who'd been a friend for decades, back then, with just a little bit more wisdom than me, he was like, don't go down this path, go down this path, the path inside. Live your life, take care of yourself. And what does that look like? What does that look like to take care of yourself? So let's go to the quote that I found today. It was interesting sorting through quotes to see what might fit. This one says, true self care is not salt baths and chocolate cake. It is making the choice to build a life you don't need to regularly escape from. Hmm, Brianna West. Okay, let's go back. True self-care is not bath salts and chocolate cake. So let's stop there. Well, I'm not a sweets person, so the chocolate cake doesn't appeal to me, but the bath salts do. I am a person who gets regular massage. I believe in that type of self-care, which, by the way, is somebody doing something to you. I appreciate being able to let my shoulders down and have my shoulders massaged. I appreciate the interaction between a professional who knows how to let the body relax. I appreciate that. But I also understand what Brianna West is saying. A salt bath, and by the way, a salt bath could be natural in the universe, in nature, you can find one. While that is good, I don't know about chocolate cake, but while things like this can make you feel good, could possibly have some kind of healing benefit, it's a much bigger thing that we're talking about. Brianna West says, it is making the choice to build a life you don't need to regularly escape from. Think about that. Look at your life, the life you are living right now. Is this where you want to be? Is this how you want to be in it? Is there anything you would change just to treat yourself better? Honestly ask this of yourself. Are you living your life to the best of your ability? Are you? When you look around at your life, do you like what you see? Are you doing what you should be doing in order to honor who you are? Are you wearing blinders and not noticing some obvious things that you need to change? Are you masking your truth? Are you self-medicating with chemicals, with food, with shopping, with sex, with alcohol, with drugs, with whatever? With binge watching? Are you distracting yourself from your truth? Are you cluttering your being with thoughts, words, and deeds that are not supporting the best of who you are? And the reality is, most of us are doing at least one of those things, not because we're bad people, but because we're people, because people aren't perfect, because life can be difficult and it can be hard to live in the truth at all times. But is that worth it? Does that work? Think about your own life. What are you doing that serves you? What are you doing that is distracting from what is your actual life? These are really intense questions. They are not necessarily questions that you have to contemplate with friends, but if you have loved ones whom you trust, where you could have this conversation and, say out loud to somebody else, this is what I think I'm doing well. This is what I think I'm really not doing well. That could be powerful. Better yet, if you have a professional, a therapist, to walk with you down this path where you really examine how you're living your life, that could be incredibly beneficial because you can then have a perspective, a professional perspective. Oh, when you do this, if this happens, what does that mean? And a professional can look at it and go, okay, this I've learned, this a professional based upon my knowledge, based upon my experience, this is what this means. And I think we owe it to ourselves to get whatever help we need in order to be as fully present in our lives as we can. So, this message for this week: live your life, engage in it fully. You know, what does that mean to you? Do you feel like you're living your life? Okay, so we currently are living in a society that is just governed, sometimes it feels like, by social media, by these images that people put out about their lives. We tend to show images of us so-called living our best life. You know, what are those wonderful moments that we are having that show love, that show potential, that show possibility? I post those kinds of pictures all the time because I choose joy and I want to share joy and convey happiness, because I think that happiness and joy help to uplift us all. And sometimes we misunderstand that joy, you can have joy all the time. So let me say this, my mother taught me that. In the worst of circumstances, joy can still be in your heart. My sister Stephanie says, "You cannot steal my joy." It does not mean that you don't go through stuff. It does not mean that life suddenly doesn't have its hills and valleys. But because of the way that information is pushed out there, you could think everybody's life is better than yours. That's why the wisdom is, don't compare yourself to other people. But it's almost impossible to actually never compare yourself to somebody else. But what if you compare yourself to yourself? Measure your successes based upon you. Live your life. How are you doing in your life? Are you nurturing the plants and flowers of your life? If you don't do it, if you don't pay attention, the plants die. The relationships die if you don't nurture them. If you don't talk to the people you love and allow yourself to be there for them to the best of your ability, as you hope they will be there for you, if you don't work on those relationships, they die. If you don't take care of your body, it dies. It gets sick and it dies. We know this. So when you don't do it, don't complain when later there's a problem. Are you living your life? Are you paying attention to the things that matter for you? And when I use this imagery of the plants and watering the plants, that comes home so intensely and personally to me, because I'm not a gardener. I said it to you. So many plants have died under my watch. And, you know, I've had to think about that. Why is that? Well, because I don't pay attention I like them. I like having beautiful plants around me, but I don't think about them. The things you don't think about perish. They fall away. The things in your life, whether you think that they are important or not, if you don't think about them, if you don't tend to them, they perish. They leave your life. Doesn't mean they leave life in general, but if you are not nurturing the things that are important to you, you won't have them. That's the part of today's message. Engage in your life fully. If you don't do that, the things that you are not engaging fully fall away. It's really true, whether you want it to be true or not. And it's a powerful thing to think about, because one of the things that I've noticed in all these years that I've been meditating. And then now we've been doing this since 2020. We have so much power, individuals. We have so much power over our lives, but we don't think so. We often think of ourselves as being powerless, but actually we have a lot of power. We have the power to make decisions for our lives that have a huge impact on who we are and everyone around us. You would be amazed if you just step back for a moment and listen to what people say about you and the impact that you've had on them. You do not need to be a public figure. You just being yourself. Who are the people whose lives you touch? This is a great exercise. I recommend that you do it. The people whose lives you touch, and listen. What do they say about you? What do they say about the impact that you have on them? I have, because I've been around for a long time and I've worked with a lot of students and young people for decades. I hear what people say about the impact that my involvement with them has had on their life. Little things. I don't mean necessarily some big, huge thing, but people will come back and say, oh yeah, you taught me this thing, Harriet, and I've been doing it, and this is how it's manifested for me. There were a couple of people that in a very busy time in my life, when I had not yet learned how to say no, I remember agreeing to help someone, more than one someone, but I'll use one example. I had agreed to help someone with a project, and I just didn't have time to do it, and I forgot. Now, what is the worst feeling you could have? You ask somebody to help you to do something, they don't do it, and then they don't even remember that they said it? Horrible. I don't feel good about how I handled that, but I'm telling the truth. It hurt someone's feelings deeply that I did not do what I said I was going to do, that I wasn't the woman of my word in that moment. I was too busy to accept another responsibility. I accepted it and I forgot. I didn't complete it and I hurt somebody's feelings. Saying no is important because the impact of no, I'm sorry, I can't do that. I don't have the bandwidth right now. I cannot. That, while that could be biting, is much more honest and complete than okay, and then you never do it. That's the plant that you said you were going to water and you didn't, and it died. And you never forget. Engage in your life fully. Be conscious and intentional, as my friend Lejeune and I say all the time, about what you choose to do and what you choose not to do. You have power. Exercise your power. You have the power to say yes and to commit to the yes. And you have the power to say no and commit to the no. You have power over your life. This is something that I know we don't think about or accept to the extent that it is real. You have the power to impact another person. I just spoke about that. Just what we say, what we do, how we live and others interact with us, there's an impact. What about the impact of you on yourself? How are you living your life? Are you engaging in your life fully? Are you wishing that you had somebody else's life? Are you longing for something that is not yours to have? Are you fully present in the life that you have, the one life that you have? How can you be more fully present? How can you tend to you better? How can you water the plant of you, the life of you? How can you take care of yourself so that you're healthy and happy and whole? This is real. This is it's not theoretical. That's why the plant imagery works, because you know you don't water the plant, it dies. If you overwater the plant, it dies. For people with children, you have to take care of them and let them be themselves, right? You overprotect, they don't survive that either. Live your life. What do you need? Pay attention. Give yourself what you need. Value this moment right here, even when times are tough, even when times are stressful. Especially then, take a moment and assess, what does your life need right now? And how can you nurture your life so that you have it? I hope that you will take this message to heart during these times when sometimes we don't feel like we have time to tend to ourselves. That's when we have to be even more vigilant. Thank you for being with me today. Hope you breathe deeply, take it in, and live your life. Until next time, have a great day and make it count. Namaste.